Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa.
And I'm Emily, and we're Vital Health Nutrition. And firstly, we wanted to thank you for taking time out today to listen to our webinar. As I said, we're Vital Health Nutrition, and we support companies to have a happier, healthier workforce through our fun, engaging nutrition services. Today's a taster webinar, an abridged version of our festive webinar, but we hope it gives you a taste of how we work and the kind of content you could expect if you worked with us. So I'm going to start because we've only got exactly 30 minutes. So this webinar is all about helping you get through the festive season with less discomfort and yeah, more able to enjoy yourself. So we're going to talk today about how to avoid indigestion, a very common complaint over the Christmas season, how to reduce terrible hangovers for those of you that do drink, and then a few tips to manage the Christmas overwhelm and stress. There's some amazing statistics out there about Christmas, and this one is quite shocking. So in the media, it's suggested that people are eating 6,000 calories on Christmas Day. And what does that mean? So normally a woman would be aiming to have 2,000 calories a day in her diet, and men 3,000. So it's a huge increase on what we normally eat. And that could look something like this. So maybe you'd start the day with 2 scrambled eggs and smoked salmon on buttered toast, washed down with Bucks Fizz, so orange juice and fizzy wine or champagne. You might mid-morning have a couple of satsumas and a handful of celebrations. Then as a starter for your Christmas lunch, you might have avocado and prawns with mayonnaise. Then, of course, the roast turkey with all the trimmings and washed down with a few glasses of wine. You might then have a pudding, so Christmas pudding, particularly rich, maybe with some brandy sauce or cream. Then maybe a cheese board with a glass of port and some nuts and truffles. Then later on in the afternoon, you might have some Baileys and a mince pie with some double cream. And then you're feeling a bit peckish, if you can imagine that, later in the evening, and you use the leftovers of the turkey to make a sandwich and have it with some coleslaw, a packet of crisps, and maybe a few more celebrations. And then as the evening draws to a close, maybe you have a slice of Christmas cake and a couple of glasses of Prosecco. So that all adds up to about 6,000 calories. So it looks and sounds like a huge amount of food. And what are the consequences of indulging to that extent? So these might all be familiar to you, but a lot of people will be suffering from acid reflux. I should imagine that Rennies and the equivalent medications that you can buy over the counter are big sellers around this time of the year. So acid reflux, indigestion, I mean, bloating, a lot of people really suffer with that on Christmas Day, and then maybe a bit later on, diarrhea, and then probably undoubtedly flatulence, particularly if you're somebody that can't break down the fibers in Brussels sprouts. So what's caused all of those problems? So obviously overeating is what we're talking about. And, you know, your stomach is an amazing organ. It can stretch, but there will be a point at which that is going to cause discomfort. Fizzy drinks are a real culprit. So any gas that goes in has got to come out. And on the way down, it could be causing bloating. And a lot of the alcohol choices we might make around Christmas could also be fizzy. So beer and fizzy wine. Foods that are high in fat and sugar could be challenging for the digestive system. Some people really struggle digesting fats, and that's going to be even more evident on a day like we've just described, with lots of fatty foods as part of your Christmas menu. You could have picked up a bug. I mean, this year it seems like everybody's going down with something, but there's always some kind of tummy bug going around. You may have picked that up, and that could be the cause of your symptoms. Alcohol is very irritating to the gut. It stops us producing as much stomach acid as we need to break down food. So that could be one of the culprits. And then stress and anxiety. When we're stressed, it's very difficult to digest food well. The body's more concerned with creating the response to stress to kind of escape or run away rather than digesting your food. So our advice would be to start working on your gut now. You've still got however many days it is till Christmas, at least I would say 12, maybe. My math isn't very good. So start working on your gut now. So you've probably heard about probiotic foods or fermented foods. They're fantastic for our gut health. So they encourage the growth of good bacteria. And the better the balance of your bacteria, the less likely you are to suffer with things like bloating, diarrhea, and they will help your body digest foods as well. Try and get to the point where you're having at least 5 portions of fruit and vegetables a day. So that again will boost your gut flora. It will help with stool formation, and it will just mean that your gut's in a much healthier state before you get into the period of festivities. It's really important to have a diverse range of foods in your diet, particularly when we're talking about fruit and vegetables. So give yourself a challenge in the days running up to Christmas to try some new fruit and vegetables so that you're encouraging the diversity of your microbiome. Oats, milled flax seeds, and foods that are high in vitamin A and C are really good for soothing the gut lining. So if you know that your stomach is sensitive to some kind of foods, and particularly when you're eating rich foods or irritating things like alcohol, maybe spend the next few days eating more of these foods, just help your gut lining be a bit more robust. And then our advice would be try and cut down on ultra processed foods in the run up to Christmas. Often they contain additives and preservatives which could irritate the gut. And a lot of them will use artificial sweeteners, which again disrupt your microbiome and can make you more inclined to digestive symptoms. And here's some other tips we've got for digestion in no particular order. But pineapple contains a digestive enzyme or an enzyme called bromelain, which really helps with digestion. So it helps the body break down food. So it's a lovely thing to have around on a day when you're going to be eating a lot. So maybe have it immediately after your Christmas meal. Caracol is a product that's made from fermented papaya, and you'd probably find that in a health food shop, but you could they come in boxes of, I think, 20, but you could buy a box now and just take that over the festive period to support your digestion. We're big fans of digestive enzymes, so our bodies should be producing digestive enzymes, but for lots of reasons that could be hindered, particularly if you're stressed. So you can buy digestive enzymes that break down proteins, fats, and carbohydrates so that you're giving your body an extra support over Christmas. In my house on Christmas Day, my in-laws have very poor digestion, so I always pass around the digestive enzymes just before we start eating. It's really important to eat mindfully and chew thoroughly. So digestion starts even before the mouth, the kind of smelling of food, the anticipation of it, all of that stimulates the digestive system to start producing the various enzymes and other things that it needs to be effective. So if you rush your food, you're less likely to create the stimulus that the body needs to digest well. So we just start digesting carbohydrates in the mouth. And also the stomach is anticipating food that's very well chewed. Its job isn't to chew your food, that's the job of your mouth. So make sure that you chew thoroughly and take time over your meal. Bitter foods are amazing for digestion. So you could add these into your starter. So chicory or endive or rocket would be great as part of your Christmas Day starter. And it will just stimulate the digestive system and hopefully alleviate some of those uncomfortable symptoms. And then apple cider vinegar is in the news a lot. It's fantastic for making your stomach acid more robust. So have a teaspoon in 2 to 3 tablespoons of warm water about 15 minutes before you start eating, and you should find that your digestion has improved. And then if you're into coffee, a small espresso after eating can be very good for digestion. So some other tips. So if you do suffer with acid reflux, a really practical thing to do is to raise the head of your bed. So you're less likely to get the food coming back up the esophagus. Start drinking water as soon as you feel the first symptoms. This can help buffer the acid in your stomach and weaken the acid. And breathe deeply. That could help. And then for flatulence, loosen clothing. If you're restricting your body with Spanx or other kind of shapewear, you might be more inclined to flatulence. And then go for a walk, so helping the digestive system move through the food and the gas. And then if you do suffer with diarrhea, I mean, it would be good to try and establish what had caused it so that you can avoid it in the future, but keep hydrated and replace electrolytes. So buying something like Dialyte or making your own electrolyte drink would be a good idea. And we have a whole seminar on gut health. Good health starts in the gut, it's called. So we would share all of these tips and more with you if you were to book that. So let's talk about hangovers. So if you are somebody that drinks, you may be familiar with a hangover. And there's lots of reasons for the symptoms that you might get the day after, or maybe later in the day if you started drinking early. So it can be to do with an electrolyte imbalance. So this is what would cause a headache and make you feel groggy and irritable. Obviously, it can cause dehydration, and that could lead to feelings of headache and fatigue. Alcohol is an irritant to the gut and it produces acid, so it's more likely to exacerbate the digestive symptoms we've just been talking about. And when we drink alcohol, it creates a blood sugar high and then a crash. So this is why it affects your mood and can also lead to cravings, and it will disrupt your sleep. So there are lots of reasons why we might get a hangover. And obviously, prevention is better than cure. So there are a few things you could do to lessen the chances of getting a hangover. So hydration before you start drinking is really important. I would suggest if you're anywhere, whether it's eating out or in your own home or someone else's home, make sure there's a jug of water on the table and have a glass of water before you start drinking. And then if you can, alternate your alcoholic drinks with glasses of water. Coconut water is fantastic for hydration, so that might be a nice thing to buy in over the Christmas period. Try not to drink on an empty stomach. So, the stomach is quite sensitive, and if you're pouring in alcohol and there's no food in there to dilute it or lessen its impact, it is likely to cause symptoms. So make sure that you're not drinking on an empty stomach, and make sure there's nibbles around to line your stomach. And pear juice, our logo is pear, so we're very big fans of pears. But apparently pear juice is amazing for lessening the impact of alcohol. And then there's something called congeners, which are found in drinks like whiskey, brandy, and tequila. And they're more likely to cause hangovers than other drinks. So maybe scratching those off your festive drinks list could be one solution. So if you do have a hangover, one of the key things to do is to get as hydrated as possible afterwards, and also to raise your blood sugar levels. So watermelon, tomato, or lemon juice would be nice solutions. Wheatgrass, you could maybe buy that in. Fresh ginger steeped in water with honey could relieve feelings of nausea if that's what happens for you with hangovers. And then juices using leafy greens, bananas, and blueberries would be particularly good because they'll be high in antioxidants and high in things like potassium to get your levels back up again. And then there's a company called Aquasol that we're big fans of. They make the most amazing range of herbal teas, and each of them has different properties. But have a look at their range. And they also make something called dandelion coffee, which tastes like coffee, but it's made from the root of dandelions, and it's bitter, so it's fantastic for your digestive system and particularly good for your liver. So it's your liver that's doing all the work the day after you've had a lot to drink. So we need to support your liver as much as possible. So eating lots of greens will help your liver. So think about supporting your liver the next day. So loads of dark green leafy vegetables. That's going to give you B vitamins, vitamin K. There's lots of calcium in dark green leafy vegetables. It'll also give you fiber to support your bowel health, because undoubtedly that will be affected if you've had too much to drink. And they'll also contain vitamins and minerals that can support your immune system. So make greens the thing to eat on days after indulgence. And then be careful. I mentioned, having a hangover will give you the munchies because your blood sugars will be really low because of the spike that's been created by the alcohol. So this is going to make your hangover even worse. So you need to find more natural, slow releasing ways of raising your blood sugars so that you can avoid all those sweet treats. Go for good quality things. So if you do want to have sugar, and why not, it is Christmas, we would really encourage you to choose dark chocolate rather than milk or white chocolate. So it contains far less sugar. It's much higher in antioxidants, so much more of a healthful food to choose. Maybe you could spend this weekend making your own sweet treats. So there's lots of recipes around for great truffles that you could make. And be mindful when you're eating sweet treats. One trick is to leave all the wrappers there so that you're fully aware of how many you've already had, and that might encourage you to slow down a bit. And then the final thing we wanted to talk about is mental health at Christmas. So it is a very stressful time of year for so many reasons. Some people might experience anxiety. It might have negative associations for you and maybe will lower your mood. It's definitely overwhelming for most of us. And then it can exacerbate feelings of loneliness. So how can food help? So we have a whole seminar on nutrition for mental wellness. And it's absolutely fundamental to eat well to support your mental health. So think of eating nourishing foods as part of your self-care routine. It's being good to yourself to eat well. It's prioritizing yourself. It's also something that's within your control. So what you eat, you largely have control of. Don't skip meals, eat regularly. Having massive gaps between meals because you're eating out tonight will, without a doubt, lead your blood sugars to be low, and then any feelings of stress or overwhelm are going to be exacerbated by that. And then, think about cooking from scratch. If you want to make gifts for people that are food-based, it's a very relaxing and mindful activity. And it helps you avoid those ultra-processed foods that are really not good for our health. Some things that you could add into your diet to help with mental health and overwhelm. So magnesium is amazing for the brain. It really helps reduce anxiety. The foods that are high in magnesium are things like dark green leafy vegetables, beans and pulses, nuts and seeds, and whole grains. So make sure your diet is high in those if you're starting to feel the pressure of Christmas. Epsom salt baths are a fantastic way to raise your magnesium levels. So they contain magnesium sulfate, and it's very well absorbed through the skin. If you don't have a bath, a foot bath is just as good. So think about that. And these days you can buy body butters and sprays that contain magnesium. The company that's best known for those is a company called Better You. So maybe buy that as a gift or put that on your Christmas list. It's a lovely way to look after your nutritional status, to use a body butter that's rich in magnesium. And then nuts are a great source of magnesium. So make sure you've got bowls of ideally raw nuts out on Christmas Day and have them as a snack in the days leading up to Christmas. Another thing that can exacerbate stress is stimulants. So anything that contains caffeine is a stimulant. So it could be coffee, very strong tea. A lot of the cold and flu medications contain caffeine, particularly the ones that are aimed at daytime symptom suppression. And then dark chocolate can contain high levels of caffeine. So be really careful that you're not overloading on caffeine, because that's going to make you feel more anxious, more stressed, less in control. So cut down on those. Sugary foods, as I said, create this spike in blood sugar, which is inevitably caused by a crash, and that's going to make you feel worse. And alcohol has the same impact on our blood sugar levels. So think about it. Are there things you could take out of your normal routine that are going to make it easier for you to cope with the stress associated with Christmas? And then if you need extra help, we've mentioned magnesium either through food or as a supplement. There's lots of different forms of magnesium, and some supplements will have multiple forms in there, so they will help in lots of different levels. But if sleep is an issue, I definitely recommend magnesium glycinate. A B vitamin supplement, so B vitamins are very calming. They're often you're often deficient in B vitamins if you are very stressed and anxious. So it might be a way of just calming yourself down. We also need B vitamins to produce good energy levels. So it could be helpful at this point in the year. There are things, natural things that are really good for calming down anxiety. So L-theanine and lemon balm are particularly good as calming agents. L-theanine is found in green tea, so that might be a swap to do in the days leading up to Christmas, is to swap your regular tea for green tea so that you've got access to more L-theanine, which should help calm the brain. And then ashwagandha is a nice herb for stress, very widely available now, and in lots of formulas that are stress focused. And there's a nice supplement called Be Calm, which you might want to have a look at. But please don't take supplements if you're on medication without having taken professional advice. There are some things that really do interact with antidepressant medication in particular. So do be careful and ask for some advice if you're thinking about taking something that you haven't tried before. And then movement, really important to reduce anxiety and to get us into a mindful state. Even a walk. So apparently when we're walking, that the constant steps will just get your mind into a much more relaxed state. And it can be easy over Christmas to become more sedentary. You know, we tend to hibernate, stay inside with all our presents and the telly and all the food, but maybe make a point of getting outside and moving to help your mental health. And then think about sleep. So again, late nights and festivities probably go hand in hand, but remember that, you know, having a good night's sleep is really important for your mental health. And think about the things that could be affecting it at this time of year. So we need our bedrooms to be dark in order to be conducive to sleep. The temperature should be cool in your bedroom if you want to have a good night's sleep. And managing your blood sugars throughout the day and not letting them spike and trough will mean that sleep should be much easier. And then, yeah, just make sure that you haven't filled your bedroom with electronic equipment or all the presents, so that kind of clutter is affecting your ability to relax. Again, we have a whole seminar on improving sleep. So if you think your company or your colleagues would be interested in that, it's a really useful webinar where we talk about the benefits of sleep as well as how to get good sleep. So that's the end of our taster webinar. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day. We realise how busy it is at this time of the year. We're going to share this recording with you later, and we'd love it if you could share it with your colleagues. We haven't really said much about what we do, but we have a whole range of services, including 20 different seminars on various health and nutrition topics. And we're taking bookings for the new year now. So give us a call or get in contact before next Friday if you want to secure a slot in January. And have an amazing, healthy, happy festive season. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily, and happy Christmas, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Lisa. Bye.